This channel is about going deeper into the forest. The forest symbolizes the sacred power of human consciousness. Every tree, every root, every bird, every whisper of the wind reflects to you who you are and takes you into a journey deep within. If you can feel the forest calling you, if you're feeling drawn to the forest, come closer. Take a step forward and join me. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, right now, we've just gone through autumn equinox yesterday. So today's date is the 21st of March. The 20th of March was equinox. We are in autumn, ngahuru, in Aotearoa. And here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we are about to release. We are about to let go. And just like the trees, some of the trees that are letting go of their dying leaves so that it can recycle into matter, into soil for new growth in a few months' time. So this is a really pivotal time right now. It's a time of harvest and it's a time of letting go. So looking at things that you are reaping what you sowed over the springtime. This is the time to bring in a harvest. And things to look at in your life would be what seeds had you planted back in spring that flowered during the summer and are now producing fruit or harvest for you. What ideas were planted in the springtime that are now in full fruition or coming into potential? Are there things in your life that you notice that are ready for harvest? Some things, some thoughts that you've worked on, some beliefs perhaps that you've worked on, some ideas that you planted that you wanted to reap. Some of them may not be ready to harvest this time round, but maybe eventually. How is the progress going of what you planted, what you seeded a few months ago? So this is a wonderful time of the year, and autumn is about going deep within. The light changes, it becomes a little bit darker and a little bit cooler, a lot cooler in the southern hemisphere, but it becomes a little bit darker, which means that the earth starts to slow down and cool down, which means that we do also. If we're going with the cycles of nature, which is very important to do, so that we're always in the flow with Papatuanuku, with Earth Mother, that we're in the flow of universal energy, so there's no resistance. If we are always flowing with that, then now is a good time to listen to the elements out there right now, wherever you are. It could be spring where you are, and what does that mean for you? What ideas are you planting in the northern hemisphere? The things that it makes me marvel that just looking at nature, or the way a tree behaves, or a forest system behaves, that we can really learn from those natural systems on how to be ourselves and learn from them. What I wanted to talk about today is the flower and what the flower means in nature and what it means for us within our human consciousness. What is flowering? What does that look like? What does it mean? There was a wonderful man, Krishnamurti, whom you may have heard of or know about, who talked about inward flowering, and I I so loved that term because, you know, behind those words you could feel the weight of information that was blooming or seeding in those words. And it's, you know, there's particular words that make you go deep, and they are so cloaked that the sound and some of the words can actually unlock you, and you can feel that unlocking and feel the magic or the beauty in the mātauranga, the knowledge that is sitting there waiting to be revealed or for you to sit with, to immerse yourself with. And inward flowering was one of those whakatauki, or one of those sayings or proverbs. That was it for me. One of them for me. Because from my understanding, when we look at a flower in nature, you know, a plant flowers. A flower symbolizes beauty and purity and its full potential. You know, it's the plant's most full potential when it flowers. If it's put all of its energy, its Mauri, into producing this beautiful flower that symbolizes consciousness, pure consciousness. And I know that when I look at a plant and I think about what it takes a plant to flower, it uses up quite a bit of energy just to be able to do that. There's a plant in Aotearoa called kohe, which is Disoxylum spectabile, which is the botanical name. And kohe flowers one year and then produces seeds the next year, because it only has the life force, the Mauri, the energy to produce one at a time, either the flowers or the seeds. And so the seeds and the flowers both have mana. They both have power. The same essence is required to produce these phenomenal, I want to say, beings, and just incredibly beautiful, and so profound to see a flower blossom, and it is only in bloom for a few weeks of the year, most of them, and a few weeks of the year we have the opportunity to be in their presence, to smell their scent if they have a scent, to see their the colour, their beautiful colour, and the velveteen nature of the petals. And the colour of a flower has a sound, you know, they're notes and they have tones, they're songs in nature. And so when you see a beautiful flower, you can attune, it attunes you, because it gets your attention and you're drawn to it. And this beautiful colour has the mana, or the power, to make a shift within you. It can make a shift within you, change your cells even in a moment. It can shift your perspective in a moment and change your behavior in a moment, just from the color, the sound of the color, because that's what a flower is emitting. Its sound, its vibration, from the color, from the scent. The scent of the flower is sound. And in actual fact, when you smell any flower or any plant anything in nature actually, when you smell, really take the scent into your being, into your body, and you can follow that scent down into the body, and it's actually vibration going down into your body, moving, shifting, and you can follow that sound and even guide it through the pathways in your body and just keep smelling its sweet perfume, its song, its notes going through the body. And it's so profound and quite life-changing. But the key is to notice it in the first place. The key is to revere it also, to acknowledge its beauty and where it comes from, and be curious about where it comes from and what its role is. When you ask these questions, they can take you deep into your own soul to understand who you are. This is the flower power. This is the mana of a flower. And I think that's really just absolutely beautiful. I love that. So the flower has fully bloomed into its full fruition and potential. So we are seeing the result, the outcome of this plant. It has created what it needed to create to reflect source, to reflect the light that supported it to bloom into full potential. So stunning. And just seeing how a flower comes into full fruition, we can look at ourselves as the same. And in fact, we flower inwardly, or we can flower inwardly. And what does that mean? What does that look like, inward flowering? Well, Krishnamurti, he explains it that it is like your consciousness flowering. Consciousness flowering, it's at its full potential. And so to be in your full potential, what does that look like? What does that sound like? But what does that look like to you, to be in your full potential? To some people, it can be quite confronting and a little bit scary, because being in your full potential means a lot of things. It means that there are, what's that word? That there are compromises. Compromises? Well, definitely there are things that you need to look at in life of what is limiting you into reaching full potential, and that's where the intensity of the healing work lies. It's looking at what is not serving you, what is stopping you from reaching that full potential. And now when we're in this period of autumn, when the light is darker, over in my culture we call it wānanga, which essentially means like it's a higher level of learning. It's when we go into a place of learning, but we're coming from the ngākau, the manawa, so which is the heart space. We're coming from a space that is not physical. We are coming from our full potential. We're receiving insights directly from source, or from the space of source, and we're in discussions with that until we come to a place of understanding. And it is a higher level of learning. So that is wānanga. So right now it's a really good time to go into that place because the natural world supports that. Because Papatuanuku, Earth Mother, is slowing down. The light of Ranginui is darkening. So it's providing all the environment. It's providing the environment that we require to go into those spaces, to reflect, to contemplate, to go within, to wānanga. And I really love this time of the year because I love to reflect and contemplate on wonderful parables and proverbs and whakatauki, which is another name for proverbs, but from within my Maori culture. So to me, inward flowering is deep reflective growth, inner contemplation, and that is inward flowering to me. And some questions to ask yourself when you know that you're inwardly flowering are, what are the experiences or practices that you feel when you are inwardly flowering? Well, for me, it is things like being in meditation or being in nature, walking through the forest and just practicing being mindful of everything around me, self-reflection, contemplative practices that help me to feel like I'm inwardly flowering, and receiving insights. One of the expressions that I'd like to talk about are the whakatauki, or proverbs, or parables. That there are sentences or words that really entice you or invite you to go really deep within that word or in that proverb. And some of our whakatauki or some of our pūrākau, which are our stories and our proverbs, all to me, a lot of the answers that have helped me to shape who I am and to learn what I know is all through our pūrākau and our whakatauki, our Maori stories and proverbs, because our ancestors left seeds, breadcrumbs within those proverbs, within those words. They are cloaked with, I want to say, sound vibration, that when I read something that gets my attention, I can feel it. It just ignites me. It's like a light or a spark that comes out of the words and lights something within me that comes to light and makes me feel like a connection to something within that whakatauki or proverb. I feel it, I notice it, and I file it in my consciousness. I file it to be able to reflect on it when I have the space to do that, because I can already feel that that I have unlocked something that has resonated for me. My resonance and the resonance within that whakatauki has resonated together and unlocked. It's like, unlocked and attuned with each other. So I'm connected to it. I was going to say I'm stuck to it, but connected to it is a better term. And I will sit with that, and I can feel that just sitting within me. You know, it's sitting within me, and I know that I have to do something about it because it's come to me at the perfect time that I need it to. Because otherwise, I would not have unlocked it. If I have unlocked something to be uncoded, it means I'm ready to do that, and it feels amazing. Like I can feel the light, more light, because that is what information insights are, isn't it? It's pure light. It is light resonance. And so when that light comes into you, it just fills you. It gives you an ignition. It ignites you with a spark that sits there, waiting for it to be ignited, right? So that to me is inwardly flowering, to be able to do a contemplative practice with a whakatauki, and then making the space to sit, immerse myself with that, and that is to me inwardly flowering. And that is the beauty of Proverbs. And there's, you know, the ancient scripts, and there's so many beautiful words out there that hold so much information, and it just makes life so magical, so magical. I love it. I absolutely love it. So to me, that is one of my favourite inwardly flowering experiences. What would be some of yours? Do you meditate, or do you contemplate? Is there a practice that you do that helps you to feel like you are inwardly flowering? Do you spend time in the garden? Do you walk in the forest or the park? Do you spend time with your animals? I know animals just can help you to flower inwardly. Babies with your grandchildren, or just any practices or experiences, please share in the comments, because your information helps others as well. You know, a really important question to ask when you are flowering is, how do you know when you are stagnating and when you are inwardly flowering? And observing that intimately. I know for me, I know that when I'm stagnating, I feel like I'm walking through mud. My legs are heavy. I feel like I'm dragging myself. I don't have the same energy or spark to do things that I would usually like to do. And when I'm inwardly flowering, I'm in the moment. I'm in the present moment. I am where I'm meant to be. I am in the moment, very, very present. And that's how I know when I'm stagnating that I am not in the present moment. Even my breathing can become quite shallow. Even small accidents like kicking my toe or hurting my finger, these are things when I know that I'm not present. And something to think about. Something perhaps you could ask yourself, how do you know when you're stagnating versus when you are inwardly flowering? Another important question to ask yourself is, how do you balance the need for self-reflection with the demands of everyday life? I mean, life can get really busy, really, really busy, especially now. There's so much information coming at us, and just there's a lot going on. We're so very busy compared to 20, 30, 40 years ago, even 10 years ago, 5 years ago perhaps. But life has become busy. So how do you balance the need for self-reflection to the demands of daily life? And this is so important but very challenging to put in place. What I have done is I know that I have to carve out space and time for self-reflection, and I have to protect that space very fiercely. It's very easy to give in and to give up that time for things that we think are priorities or very important, and then that time of self-reflection has been given away. It seems to be the last it's the last space that we make a priority. I have now come to the realization how important it is for me, and it is absolutely a priority that I now protect it. I protect that space with everything I've got. And not only that, I let the people around me, my husband and friends, know that the space that I've created, certain days and certain times, is my space, that I reflect and contemplate. I go into the bush, I go into the forest, I protect that, and it's so important, and people know that, and it's in place. But I had to put up a fight. I had to really make sure that people understood and heard that. So that's how I balance the need for self-reflection for the demands of everyday life. You may have another way, and I'd love to hear that in the comments. Something else that's really important to ask yourself is, what past experiences have you had that shaped who you are, and helped you feel like you were inwardly flowering? What past experiences helped to shape that? Because I know in my life there was an illness that helped shape my journey of inward flowering, and it really put me on the right pathway because I was not on the right pathway. I was so out of alignment with where I was meant to be. I was going down the wrong track real fast, and it was an illness that I was diagnosed with years ago that put me on the right track. It put me on the right track, that it opened my eyes. There is nothing like a life-threatening illness that can get you to ask some really serious questions. And that's what it did for me. That's what helped me to shape my inward flowering, and continues to do so. So, are there past experiences in your life that has helped shape you in your inward flowering? And another great question to ask yourself is, how do you integrate the lessons learned from inward flowering to your relationships and the community around you? Whoo-wee. That's a biggie. That's a biggie that I still sit with. How do you integrate the lessons learned? It's not enough to learn and understand what comes through with inward flowering or self-reflection. That's not enough. You have to apply it in the physical, with to everything around you, and that means to your relationships, with the community. How do you integrate? How do you integrate those lessons? That's a real biggie, and I think for me, it is continuous learning. I faced with challenges. I mean, even driving, I still have to driving, and I'm a very cautious driver. I'm a slow driver, and there are always cars very close to me or cutting me off. I don't say anything out loud, but in my mind sometimes things might arise, and I catch myself thinking them, and I try to do better. I try to do better. But that's an example of integrating the lessons learned, and being on the road driving is a really great teacher. Relationships and in the community, I work with that every day, and I think now what I do is I pray. I make a practice to pray when I feel myself stirring within. I pray. I ask for guidance to release me. First of all, I'm in gratitude that I recognize it, that I can see it and catch it. And that took a long time to do. I see it, catch it, and I try to transmute it before I can play out the emotion. And it's a challenge, it's a challenge. It's a continual lesson. But now I find that when I pray, it brings me into a state of presentness and reminds me, and do I need to take deep breaths? Deep breaths help to breathe it out, And I ask for guidance to be released from that emotion that is stirring. I would love to know some practices that you do. I would love you to share in the comments if you can. It's always wonderful to read your comments. I feel so blessed that I'm getting to know you by name, the ones that comment regularly, and I feel it's wonderful. I'm in gratitude. I really am. And I just thank you for supporting me in this channel. I have been on YouTube, I think, since 2012, so a long time, except I never took it really seriously. I just enjoyed making videos. If you go back and see some really old videos, they are really old, and I love doing different types of filming, but I didn't really take it seriously. But now, this is my spiritual practice. Every week I try to make a video for you, and it is always about going deeper into the forest, going deeper into the sacred power of human consciousness and how that can support us in today. And I just, in gratitude for your support. So until next week, ngā mihi, kia pai tora.